Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us at another episode of CyberMasters. We're going at a dozen shows now since we've upgraded our studio. Thank you very much for the audience participation. Believe it or not, we're into thousands on the viewers now. Thank you. It means quite a bit to me. And I look to deliver a very top-shelf show with some great info and excellent guests.
Greatest guests ever.
Greatest guests ever, like my guest tonight, Aryeh Lemberger.
Hey.
Please introduce yourself. What do you do for a living?
Great to be here. Thank you, Ed, for having me. This is fantastic. Such a professional studio, and it's really...
I try to do it top shelf,
it's
you know.
Great. It's top shelf with all the gadgets and the doohickeys. And
yes, I've got every little cable needed.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I posted earlier the list of 80 things you need to do to make the studio happen. You know, I know all the software, I got all the hardware, even this great venue, you know.
You need a great venue. You need a great light.
Good lights.
Circular light.
We got good lights. Look, let's see all the lights. Look how nice the lights are. Right, we look a little pale, maybe a little more yellow.
I need makeup.
Makeup. We don't have a makeup person yet. I'm working on that. Maybe next week. I don't know. You know, I don't know how to look in makeup, but to be determined. Yeah. So, Aryeh, you are a fabulous individual. You're a professional in every way. What is it that you do for a living these days?
I work for a big company called WSP, and we're a big consulting firm. And we consult on all sorts of different things, everything from civil engineering and traffic engineering, planning, advisory services, asset management, you name it. I mean, it's one of the biggest companies, and we do basically
national, international,
all over the world. We have 100 offices in the United States alone.
Wow, we're going to pull up their website in a moment and take a look at that stuff.
That's not, my complete identity, but that's what I do for a living, and I do enjoy it, and I have great colleagues and friends that I work with, and they're just fantastic.
When we first met, we were in GIS committee meetings together. People don't know what GIS is, although it's the geographic user interface where all the maps are loaded into the software. And this gentleman and I were in some very high-level meetings regarding all of that.
That's right. We fixed all the problems.
You fixed all the problems. We went on with our lives.
That's right.
But what's really important is you've been doing that as a professional life, but you started as a professional musician or semi-pro? What do you consider that?
I don't think I ever made it to that level.
Really?
No, never professional. Well, I did it for a long time, and I still do play music.
Yeah. You were a drummer.
I'm a drummer.
And but how long have you been playing drums?
As well. I play guitar,
Okay, guitar.
But I grew up around music, It's something that's like in my family, ingrained in my family. My mother is like a Juilliard-trained pianist.
Juilliard, wow.
Yeah. She was a music teacher for like 40 years.
Wow. So much. Yeah. So we're going to pull up one of your videos here to see one of the songs you've been in. Yeah. So it's usually punk is your favorite kind of music, or what do you like to play?
I do love punk. I love every kind of music. Happens to be I just fell into punk somehow when I was in college.
Okay.
It was like a coincidental thing. I just happened to be like walking down the hallway one day in my dorm in Albany. I was in like SUNY Albany, and there was a door that was cracked open a little bit, and as I was walking by, I overheard someone say, "Now all we need is a drummer." And literally, I went over to the door. I peeked in. I opened up the door, and then in there were like three guys with huge multicolored mohawks and spiky stuff all over their jackets and everything. And,
I love it.
And I stuck my head in. I was like a hippie. I had like long hair and like a beard, and I stuck my head in. I said, "I'm a drummer," And they said, "Well, can you play punk?" And I said, "I can play anything, basically. Tell me what to do." So they said, "Well, okay, play as fast as you can, and when we tell you stop, and then go again, and then play as fast as you can, and then stop, and then go again." So that's how it started.
Man.
Yeah,
so here's one of your videos. Ooh la la! So this band is called Antidote.
That's right. Antidote is an original New York hardcore band that put out some seminal hardcore punk rock albums back in the day, and then they took a really long hiatus.
Wow, you're playing kind of slow in this song.
I can't play as fast as I used to.
What year is this, man?
2011, 12, 13.
Oh man, look at that! You're jamming your ass off. Wow, are you still friends with those guys?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Really?
Yeah. I'm still friends with all those guys. and,
Wow.
they're great guys.
That's some serious music
Yeah.
right there, man.
Yeah, I was lucky to be asked by them to come and drum on a reunion show.
Yeah,
They were asked to
really?
play in 2008, and I knew one of the guys for a long time from another music project that I was involved with, and he said, I know this great guy. He can drum fast. So,
Clearly.
we'll get him in on this thing. So
Clearly.
I did.
So
yeah.
BPMs, what do you think
Yeah.
you're hitting on beats per second, beats per
Definitely
minute?
no
there?
less than 150.
150.
Probably.
Okay, not bad,
Probably
not bad.
150 or higher. I think I broke the metronome a couple
Wow,
of times. I'm
wow.
not sure.
Did you ever get like locked up or get like serious Charlie horse from playing
What
so
happens
fast?
is I get locked up after I finish playing.
Okay.
And like my forearms feel like they're like Hulk's forearms,
Mm-hmm.
They're like if I put on like a shirt, it would like rip through the shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
But I usually rehearse a lot before
Mm.
so that I don't get fatigued and like I can push through.
Did you see the movie Sound of Metal?
I didn't see. No.
It's about a young man who's the drummer of a band, and he loses his hearing and goes through a cochlear implant situation. It's a award-winning movie from 2 years ago. Highly recommend as a musician to see. So, did you wear earplugs when you played?
Not for a long time. But
Do you have tinnitus now?
yes, very bad. Yeah.
So tinnitus. So I've been to many shows. I was at a show Saturday night, and tinnitus gets so bad, it's the loudest thing in the room when you're trying to sleep. What's it like for you?
It's the same thing. It's when I'm trying to sleep. It's when I'm awake. It's anytime I'm around anything, any quiet environment. All I hear is the loud ringing in my ears, and it's really infuriating. Worse in one ear than the other ear, because what I realized.
Didn't anybody
that I
tell you
never knew-
put earplugs in or something? No one talked about
I
it,
was
man.
a punk rocker. I didn't know. Of course
That's
not.
what this movie's
I
about.
would literally play in like my ear was like an inch, like an inch from the snare drum.
Oh,
Like,
my
and it was
gosh.
this ear. So with this ear, I have really bad hearing in this ear. Whenever I'm at a show,
Yeah.
and you try to talk to me. You have to talk to me in this ear, otherwise I can't make out what
It's
you're saying.
completely-
in
you
this
blew
ear.
it
It's
out.
Just, I blew it out, and it's just all fuzzy now.
Oh
and,
man, and it's going to
but-
progressively it's worse with age, right?
Yeah, and good hearing does not run in my family either.
Mm-hmm.
Like my father has not such great hearing, and
Well,
so-
don't worry, because cell phone signals are crappy on voice now. Everybody's texting each other anyway, so that's kind
I don't
of
want to
a-
hear what anybody has to say anyway. I
I don't want to hear it anyway,
Yeah.
so don't worry about it.
I
So,
ignore everybody anyway.
So,
It's
so
okay.
you were a drummer. At what age did you go into the professional field and gave up the music?
I never gave up the
attempt?
music. I never gave
Really,
it
it's
up.
not nothing. It's
Yeah,
always
no,
with
I
you.
always did music.
That's so awesome.
Even when I was working, I would always do music. We had I would find the time
Yeah.
to do it. I would always find the time to do it, whether it was late at night. We, when I was working at the county in the early 2000s,
As the planning supervisor.
I was a planner at the county. I rose up the ranks from like an entry-level planner to a senior-level planner, and then I was the unit head for traffic for many years.
The unit head for traffic.
In DPW.
Well, that's kind of rough because I think the Long Island Expressway is considered the eighth wonder of the world.
Oh, that's out of my jurisdiction.
Oh,
That
gotcha.
was- that
A
was-
little
that
too
was-
far.
Thank God I didn't have anything to do with that. Yeah.
All right, rest of Long Island, just Nassau, just no expressway. Got
That's
it.
right, that's
Well,
right.
So that's state, right? That's state jurisdiction.
That is a state. Yeah. Long Island Expressway, maybe a federal roadway or something.
Federal
It's under
roadway?
the state
Okay.
jurisdiction. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I
And
don't
you guys don't mingle and talk? Be like, look at my
know. No, we
road,"
talk. We
you know?
talk. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
there's a
no,
lot
we
of...
always talk. We always talk. Our signals, some of our signals speak to each other,
Mhm,
a
mhm.
little bit. But
Nice.
yeah, we always coordinated well with DOT.
Excellent.
Yeah. But I always played out, mostly at night. Like I would go to New Jersey with a bunch of friends and jam out in someone's basement, like midnight on a Tuesday, every Tuesday.
Oh,
something
that's
like that.
excellent.
We had
Excellent.
there was a period of time where my band Kung Fury, we had a residency at a bar called Snitch. It was in
Okay.
Newtown.
Now,
And our
that band
slot
sounds very familiar. What was it called?
band was called Kung Fury.
Kung Fury.
Kung
Okay.
Fury. Yeah. We played a lot of great shows, and I mean, we must have played thousands of shows over
All
the years.
punk music, right?
Great. No, it wasn't punk. That was
It
a
wasn't
rock
punk.
and roll.
Rock
band.
and roll,
Like
nice.
Dirty rock and roll, like great,
Nice.
awesome
I'm going to
rock and
share
roll.
some of your music links on here later.
For sure.
on,
Yeah,
so.
that'd be great.
And you're right, working on new stuff. You sent me some new things you were working on too.
That's right. I'm always working on new stuff. Yep. But we literally had like a residency, at this bar called Snitch, and our slot was 3 a.m. on Wednesday. And I would play 3 a.m. on Wednesday. I'd go home. I'd get like an hour of sleep, and then I'd go to work.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I play whenever I can. I would always want to play. My wife always told me, she's like, "How long are you gonna do this? How long are you gonna do this? Well, are you gonna do this when you're 40?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it when I'm 40. Sure, whatever."
Absolutely,
As
I
long as
still
I can.
play. Totally.
Absolutely.
Does she like your music? Did she come to your shows ever?
She used to come to a lot of shows,
Really?
and then she slowly started getting a little bit sick of it. You know, like in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, you're gonna be like a VIP," and she thought like, "Oh, a VIP," and then I was like, "Can you carry my drums in with me?" And she's like, "This is a VIP. Give me a break," So
Yeah,
she,
people don't realize the
doesn't
amount
come
of
to that.
carrying of stuff you would do as a musician,
My most recent show,
especially drummer.
Exactly. My most recent show was this past April.
Yeah.
And my kids are now old enough that I can bring them to the shows. And so it was a family affair. And
Yeah.
the other bandmates of mine, their families also came. So it was like
All
our
these kids.
All my kids were on the side
Oh,
of
how
the stage,
cool.
all looking and like experiencing the whole punk rock like craziness. And it was
That's
pretty awesome.
excellent to expose your
It was
kids.
great.
I
It was
was
great.
at the Jewel Train concert. A lot of people brought their kids. Really awesome. Just real quick, Chris is asking, does he like the guy Gelson on drums? Do you know who that is?
I don't know who Gelson.
We don't know who Gelson is, but
Gelson?
let us know.
I'm going to look up this
Gelso.
Gelson.
All right. Well, good. Congratulations. His grandson just graduated today. Wow. Yeah, it's
Fantastic.
graduation season,
My
right?
daughter just graduated high school.
Oh, fabulous. How was the graduation?
It was nice. Yeah, it was real nice.
Yeah.
I took the video. I took the pictures.
Do they recognize how awesome of a musician you are? Do they like, wow, Dad's a sick drummer?
My son, who's a teenager, he's
Yeah.
been to a few shows. Like I've been taking him to shows since he was a kid, so he knows and he plays guitar and he's got a good sense of music and he's
Good, good.
well into it. I've never taken my daughter or my other son to shows, and
Mm.
this was their first show, and like they were like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? And they didn't know what to expect. And,
Wow. Well, I look at you, and to me, what you're doing there is it's just dreamlike. It's in heaven to be able to induce a mosh pit, and you're the drummer. I mean, how sick is that?
I once made a mistake of going into a mosh pit
Yeah.
of the band that I was playing in, and I got my ass kicked so bad. I was like, I'm never doing that again. I literally got the wind knocked out of me and my like rib cage bashed in.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, I went to see Typo Negative at the Ritz in the 90s, I think, and I was stage diving, and the bouncers grabbed me, punched me, and threw me back, and I fell on my back on the floor and walked home in the rain. Right? You do really stupid things. My parents had no idea why my back was so bad for years after that. But anyway, we could talk about this forever. I just want to get into some of the subject because there's some really cool stuff going on, and the audience is interested to hearing about some of the drone stuff that's really exciting. And we're going to be talking about net zero energy. It's a huge subject. It's a whole thing to understand. We're going to be starting to talk about cybersecurity and energy transition as energy and the type of energy we have is changing, and the digital connections it has and the potential cybersecurity problems that come with that.
And how we use energy.
And how we use energy.
That's
And then
right.
I can't wait to pull up your website and really talk about a couple of specific projects and explain to us what net zero energy is and how do we get there and what's the reality of it. Yeah,
One of the
please.
most interesting cybersecurity things to me, because I do a lot of transportation work, is in autonomous vehicles and transportation. That's one of the biggest, I think, challenges and hurdles to actually seeing mass rollout of autonomous vehicles is how do you make them secure? How do you make it so that people can't hack into whatever system is controlling autonomous vehicles and really mess things up? And then how does the vehicle itself actually conduct its business? So like there's like the biggest like issue that people are facing is like, what if the vehicle has to face a choice, right? And say the vehicle is an autonomous vehicle, it's driving down the street, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden an obstacle appears before the vehicle, okay?
Like the
And
bicycle incident.
like a bicycle, yeah, okay.
Because that's a famous one, right?
I don't know the bicycle.
The lady hit a bicycler and she wasn't holding the wheel on an early autonomous vehicle, and she just pegged him because it didn't expect to have a biker go across the street in the middle of the highway.
Right. But this is
Unplanned.
This is a question of what kind of decisions does the vehicle make in itself? So let's say the vehicle has to make a decision between hitting somebody and killing somebody, or running off the road and killing its occupant. What does the vehicle decide to do? There's actually different laws by state and to what actually is supposed to
Wow,
prevail
so
here.
each state may have varying degrees
That's right.
of how the autonomous vehicle will handle that situation.
That's correct,
Based
yeah.
on the laws in that region.
Yep.
Wow, so could that autonomous vehicle take on different attributes or how it interacts based on the state it's going in? Wow, that's
They haven't solved this
crazy. I
problem
didn't
yet.
thought about that.
Yeah.
Wow, it's going to potentially use one risk engine for New York and a different one for, Florida, for example, because
That's
the laws
right.
are slightly different. That's amazing.
Yeah.
No one's ever really talked about that. Wow, because that's got to be fed in there.
Yeah.
I noticed on the Tesla, you can't watch YouTube on the screen. That was turned off. And
That's why I don't have a Tesla yet. I mean,
who wasn't
can't go 5 miles driving without watching, YouTube.
No, it bothers me. It's a beautiful screen. I would want to watch YouTube, like videos. I'd want to watch your videos.
I
while
watch
I'm
my
driving.
own videos on YouTube, just me playing all the time.
And I don't think you can do the autonomous on the side roads, only on the main roads, right? So I would want to watch videos driving down the side road. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, that's not cool. So,
Exactly.
but think about this. So we're talking about cars, but let's jump into the news here for a moment. All right, pretty exciting. Take a look at that. Amazon set to launch drone delivery in California. The service, called Amazon Prime Air, will use drones with sense and avoid system to deliver packages safely. Look, they're using the word safely there. Isn't that encouraging?
They have to use that word, otherwise
Look at that. Look at how beautiful that drone is. That's a gorgeous looking drone right there.
that is one hot drone. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
And it's got a nice package.
it's got it's not the size of the drone, it's how you use it, okay? Listen, this drone drops its package, so yeah. Anyway, it started in California. Amazon worked with the Federal Aviation Administration and local officials in Lockford, a small town south of Sacramento, to gain permission for the drones to take flight. So what do you think about that? I mean, we're talking about cars potentially getting hacked. These drones are more dangerous. I mean, they could carry a load.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you believe there is an equal or less risk of cyber in drones compared to autonomous vehicles today?
I don't know about the risk. Honestly, I don't know that there's more of a risk or less of a risk because I'm not so in tune with cyber hacking and all that kind of stuff. What I do know about drones is that when you're talking about relating it to net zero or something like that,
Yes.
We have a tremendous amount of freight logistic emissions and transportation challenges going on.
Oh,
out here.
small deliveries that require a truck.
So you got a massive truck delivering a tiny package, and it's dumping all this crap into the air all the time, and it's creating inefficiencies. It's creating traffic. It's wasting money. It's wasting gas. It's wasting resources. And you think about how a drone might be able to help to take some vehicles off the road and reduce some emissions. It's kind of like a pretty ingenious thing.
I didn't think of that. So you're saying that all these trucks that are in a neighborhood dropping off that little tiny package, wasting all this gas and stuff, could be just a drone delivery. It'll save the environment ultimately.
It could. And on a mass scale, nobody says how big a drone has to be, and it has to carry a small package or anything. It could carry massive packages. It could deliver you a vehicle. It could deliver you, a cargo freight.
So last mile delivery, drones instead of trucks.
Not even last mile delivery. Think about the recent issues that we've been having with supply chain.
Yes,
right. And that whole thing that happened in Toronto or whatever with all the trucks that were stuck by the border.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Imagine just getting like a truckload of goods onto a drone and just flying it to where it needs to go, and then you don't have to deal with traffic. You don't have to deal with gasoline and all this other kind of stuff. You only have to deal with the fuel that it takes to fuel a drone. And I'm sure that I don't know what fuels a drone these days because I don't have a drone. But
batteries.
So
I have several drones. It charges like an electric vehicle.
It's a battery thing.
But certainly the same exposure is possible in an electric vehicle as these drones. And they could be
I would
used to
assume so.
deliver a package ultimately.
Anything that could be used for good could be used for evil as well, I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
to think about the energy savings and get a lot of trucks off the road to deliver all these little packages, wow, that could really save traffic in our region, emissions, all these trucks that break down. Yeah, I mean, and to think, right? Couldn't those drivers become drone operators and be repurposed?
I would assume so.
Right?
I mean, you still need logistics
You still
to
need
get things where
logistics
they
to
need
get-
to go. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
it might not be the same type of job, but the job market I think is just constantly evolving to take new technology into account, and new jobs come up that to handle the technology that wasn't invented a year ago, and people start taking those jobs, and then they fall out of the jobs that the technology replaced, and it's just like an evolving system.
Well, people have been saying from the beginning, computers are going to steal our jobs, but it's increased jobs in some capacities. I mean, you can't be afraid of technology, right?
People still have jobs.
Yeah, it's true. True.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the cyber warfare news there. Very interesting. Securing a net zero future, cyber risk to the energy transition. What's happening in energy transition? What are they? Why is energy transition a key conversation today?
Well, energy transition is a key conversation because energy is transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been happening for a long time. It happened industrial revolution with coal, and then it became this kind of type of energy, that type of energy, and now the newest emerging technology is clean energy, solar energy, wind energy. And this is not necessarily new.
All
but
digital age components.
It's coming of age now. And it's coming more online now, and people are becoming more in tune with it because of the challenges that our planet is facing, and the need to do it. A lot of people don't want to do something until they need to do it. A lot of municipalities don't want to do it because it costs money, and transitioning is hard, and you have to train people, and you have to get all new technologies in there, and it takes an investment, and any investment trickles down to taxpayers, and then it's nobody wants to raise taxes. Nobody wants to say that they're spending more money on anything.
So where does the term net zero come from? Is net zero the equaling by using those energy products to what consumption is?
That is basically what it is. I mean, net zero doesn't mean that there is zero pollution in the world. It just means that the increase in pollution is zero. And so it doesn't mean that all polluting and detrimental effects are being taken away. It just means that the level of it is being taken down to such a point where the globe can absorb it and sustain itself, so that it doesn't keep getting worse and worse and worse. With greenhouse gases and things like that.
Right, but you're saying that has to be globally accepted. Isn't it true that during the G8 summits, China said it'll be 20, 30 years before they even begin?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be globally accepted. That's the
doesn't.
thing. We just have to strike an equilibrium. And
Okay.
so if
A balance between all countries.
yeah, start with the lowest hanging fruit. That's where the best bang for the buck is. Most of the pollution causing energy in this country is caused by cities, and the pollution that the cities emit. So start with the cities, and you don't have to do it on a countrywide basis. Start with a citywide basis, and start putting in smart buildings, and start rolling out electric vehicle infrastructure to encourage people to get electric vehicles and things like that. Our state, New York, has a program where they want to go to all clean energy production, within the next couple of decades. And so, I think that is definitely the step in the right direction, because, it doesn't matter how many electric vehicles we have. If the energy that you're fueling your electric vehicle with is being produced by, a non-clean energy producing source, then you're still contributing to the problem.
You're still making a mess.
You got to take steps back and really trace it to the source. But thankfully, there are a lot of options out there these days to try to take care of this thing, and the options are becoming more and more affordable. Easier
better
to roll
cost.
out, better cost. The thing is, I think that a lot of the most popular clean energy sources take space. like wind
Like
energy.
solar or wind to take
Solar.
these big
Yeah,
areas.
solar. You're gonna need like a solar farm the size of like acres and acres and acres just to fuel thousands
Sure,
of homes.
but I
So,
drove through Germany 2 years ago or 3 years ago before
Yeah.
COVID, and there are wind farms through Germany as
That's
far as the eye can see.
Yeah.
It doesn't look though bad.
I like
looks
it.
attractive.
I like
Better
it.
than these weird power lines and stuff all over the place.
I like it. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. And I think there's ability to repurpose existing infrastructure. Like you have these massive hangars at like airports and things like that.
Yes.
And they're
Repurpose
literally
these
acres
big-
of empty space on these roofs that you could put solar energy panels on. And why not take advantage of that? They gotta
So
look
solar
creative
mixed with
ways.
wind power or
Yeah.
more take you into this direction.
That's
Now, this particular article by RUSI that I pulled up, it says, this emerging insight paper that they wrote identifies 6 key cyber risks in the UK energy transition that's being looked at very closely. I love the fact that these all global initiatives and larger initiatives now have a cyber risk conversation. I mean, IoT devices came out, it was like wide open. This is fantastic. You can download this paper, it's from RUSI, and take a look. And the 6 items that they mention that are the risk are around IoT devices and products and setups that allow for open connections to nodes that are out there and that can create DDoS attacks, right? So all of a sudden something's vulnerable and they can flood it with inaccurate stuff, potentially taking down the whole system, right? I mean, that could be detrimental in these energy systems, right?
Absolutely, and not just the energy. I mean, we've seen it already. I'm sure you've been reading
Stuxnet,
the news,
too.
and there are energy companies that get hacked and they can't get out without paying Bitcoin ransom or whatever it is. And
Can they get out of their way now that we're focusing on it more today than we did 10 years ago? Will this work? Will there be significant IT conversation to overcome?
there has to be, of course. Yeah, absolutely, there will be.
You're very positive.
I think so.
I've seen some lack of technology taken on by a lot of these governments and even local governments that seem that it could be a struggle for them.
I'm sure it's going to be a struggle. Listen, not
And they'll do
everybody's
the
gonna get on
minimum
board.
they need. They do the minimum they need.
Of course,
Right?
of course.
And then what,
Well, hopefully people will start learning from their neighbors who were not so lucky and make the necessary investments.
Sure, exactly.
You know.
I just want to respond to Chris. They should train drones to target the terrorists. They have. They've killed many people via drone. A few presidents ago, there was all kinds of conversations where unmanned drones would go and take out all kinds of people with collateral damage. Those are pretty incredible drones. It was military first, and it was exercised by our government first. And there was a famous author who wrote a book about what happens if they get hacked. And they should know that it's part of the standard U.S. military fleet to send unmanned drones to scout or possibly even do missile attacks.
That's what I saw in the last Mission Impossible movie.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh, nice. I don't watch those anymore, man.
I don't watch them either. I don't know.
But so this is pretty interesting stuff. There's a video here. They're trying to put a focus on, hey, energy companies and vendors, it's a critical thing, right? The reason this is interesting is because compliance and cyber risk, it's like not a perfect thing, right? It's like far from when you do compliance, it really leaves it up to the individual compliance officer who does the compliance check. There's no exact standard out there yet. You know what I mean? It's still coming. What do you think?
It's like that in every organization and every business. Absolutely. I mean, it's all, the compliance officer. I like that close up. That's good.
Yeah, like the compliance officer, like, is he doing the right thing? How do you know?
He's the compliance officer. If anybody knows, it's him, right? He's in charge of maintaining compliance, so he's got to know.
But in IT compliance, it's not an exact science yet, so they're kind of making it up as they go along.
It's not an exact
You
science.
know, it's far from an exact science.
I have friends that work in the financial industry, and they all have compliance officers in their industries also, and they're not.
Well, I would say regarding IT, it's maybe not as mature as maybe some of the other compliances, right? I mean, even the SEC just recently got into going after cybercrime and all of that stuff. So really, I feel like the world's just catching up now. It's like, where you been? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's going to be playing catch up for a while, I think.
I wonder.
Technology's moving very fast.
Will it eat us? Will it overcome us? Because I mean, we're so dependent. We don't have energy for a week or no internet for a week. You lose your mind. You know? Oh, have we gone past the return point?
I think so.
Right?
I think so.
So, but I love it. I would rather, I mean, I could give up technology and live on a farm and give it all up at this point. I imagine that's like, for me, like utopia to not be a techie guy anymore.
You know what? I'm a Jewish guy, and so every Friday night I shut off all the electronics, my whole family and I, and for 25 hours, Friday night into Saturday night, there is no phone, no TV, no internet, no turning on and off lights, no anything. Yeah. So.
Wow, and they're okay with this? They like that?
I mean, we love it. It's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, the kids, we play board games, we go outside, we play baseball, we do whatever, I mean, it's like a fantastic thing.
But you got to work it into
turning
your
everything
schedule.
off, I mean, when that sundown happens on Friday night, no matter what's going on, I shut my computer off and family time.
Wow, rules to live by.
That's
Everybody
it.
should do that. Find that one night and turn it off and do it.
Of course, when Saturday night comes around, like the second they can get back on, they're like glued to that thing, and his brain is getting sucked out again. But it's a
temporary
nice
relief.
break. It's a nice break.
Oh, that's so funny, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on with our show here, guys. I'd like to pull up your company's website and talk about some of these energy projects you guys have been doing. So this is WSP, right?
That's right.
Tell us a little bit about them. So let me pull up the site here. So energy here is the vanguard of the effort of decarbonize the global economy. Wow, is in the vanguard of the effort.
It's a vanguard of effort. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming.
So the top
somebody
shelf,
knows.
it's very
It's cutting
exquisite,
edge.
cutting
Yes,
edge.
it's cutting edge stuff.
Wow, I like it. So these are the kind of energies you guys are in there. Renewable power systems, subsurface storage. What do they mean by that? What is that exactly?
I'm not sure, honestly.
Really?
I don't know what
I
they mean by
figured you-
subsurface storage. No, I don't know. This is such a big company, and we do so much. I only have my hands in so many things.
Gotcha.
with
So they're like
We
all
have,
over the...
We have 43,000 people.
43,000.
Right.
Oh, man.
43,000 people working for.
Wow.
company.
Okay.
It's not my
Gotcha.
company. Don't come knocking on my
Right.
door.
Right.
for
But
like a
you're
handout
one
or
of
anything.
the experts.
I'm
that
number
work there.
42,107 or something.
Yes, but you're also a good drummer, so I'm sure you got a leg up on everybody. So let's see. They do underground storage and disposal. There it is, by the way, if you want to read
Salt
up on
caverns.
it. Salt caverns.
Yeah, hard rock caverns and porous media for underground energy storage.
Wow. Yeah,
About
this is some amazing stuff. Power generation and delivery.
That's right. I do work with the power generation folks. Yeah.
So that's your group there.
I have my hand in a bunch of different things, but that's one of the things. I mean, my company has a whole energy group that does work all over the world. They do solar installation designs. And,
Have you worked on
wind farm
hydropower
designs.
and dam projects
I
at
have
all?
not personally worked on
Wow,
that.
that's gotta be
but,
cool as hell,
But we have
man.
a whole section of like people who just deal with dams. Like that is their specialty.
Damn.
Dams.
No, I mean,
yeah,
I was just...
damn. Yeah.
Anyway, a stupid joke.
That's right.
Solar energy, is that something you are
Solar
quite deeply
energy?
involved in?
I'm involved with some solar stuff in that, a lot of what I do is putting people together with other people who are doing projects. So I know some people in the solar panel business who want to work with designers like us who get big projects and then work with a vendor to roll the project out. So
Interesting. So let me ask you a quick question. Not to bring up Mr. Elon once more time, but didn't he invent those tiles, the the roof tiles that are the solar energy things. You just replace your roof with these little solar tiles.
He invented that?
Yeah, I thought it was him.
I don't know. Did he?
Yes. You got to look it up next time.
Holy
yes, it's
cow.
like
Is there anything that guy did
your
not
roof
invent?
tiles are your shingles are now solar panels.
It's pretty ingenious.
Not there yet. Okay, so still experimental. And then wind energy.
No, what I was interested most in
Yeah.
about solar is making roadways out of solar panels.
Roadways.
That's right. That's right.
What are you? Wait a
Never
minute.
heard of this before?
No, I would smash it. I mean, they're the glass solar panels. No.
No. There's a technology where you can make roadways, solar panels out of into roadways.
So what would be the benefit?
What do you mean? Look at all these roadways. How many roadways do we have?
Oh my gosh! So the roadway becomes solar.
That's right.
Every roadway could charge the city.
That's right.
Oh man! But look at the way America does their street repairs. I mean,
Things would have to change.
Things would have to
Yeah,
change a
that's
little
for
bit
sure.
there.
That's
So
for sure.
okay, let's just go on. So services, so power generation, power delivery, everything around energy.
Yeah.
Featured projects. Ooh, this is good stuff. So you did post-Sandy energy power assistance. Are
That's
you
right.
familiar? So what happened there? It must have been a huge project.
Well, everybody knows what the devastation caused by Sandy.
Large flooding, lots of
a lot
people
of
living in their
flooding.
homes.
People were out of power for a long time, you know, and a lot of critical institutions and infrastructure were also out of power. And so what we like to do at WSP is we like to get boots on the ground where there are disasters. Like when there was like the disaster in Puerto Rico, we sent teams down there to help out with various different things. When the disasters in Haiti or whatever, we send teams out there because we have people.
And it says here you deliver generators and cabling, get
That's
some
right.
emergency power
That's
going.
right. Because we have a whole sector of people that just deal with like emergency management and projects like that, and they fly to wherever like people don't want to go because there's horrible stuff going on, and then they deal with everything that's over there. Because
Internationally, they'll go to like Haiti
internationally,
or
yeah,
anywhere,
yeah,
really?
anywhere that there's a need. Well, we're an international company, you know,
Sure.
so like chances are that we're close by.
Yeah.
Well,
Are they in the Ukraine?
I'm not sure about that.
I think things got really messed up over there.
Yeah, no, I don't
Things
know.
got blown up a
don't
lot,
know.
I think.
It's a good question.
That's a good question. They probably can't talk about it right now. What about the water pollution control plant? That sounds like an interesting project in
We
Canada.
do a lot of water pollution control plant work. believe
Really?
it or not.
Is
Yeah.
Canada better
Yeah.
than the U.S.? Equal? How do they do in water pollution compared to?
I don't know how they compare to us.
Really?
I'm not sure. I got to believe that the technology is somewhat the same. You know?
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I don't know. You know, we do a lot of stuff. You know, we just did a project right here on Long Island,
Okay.
where we're helping Nassau County with their Bay Park project.
The Bay Park project,
That's right.
sure.
You know,
That's a
because
huge one.
They're building a new. It involves building a new tunnel.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
for like a pipe, you know,
Okay.
and stuff like that. And so we have tunnel engineers that really only do subsurface tunnel work. And so we're brought on to help out with some of that stuff.
Interesting. Now, in this county, those are government owned plants, or they've been privatized.
Sometimes they're privatized, but in our county, it's government owned.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is there a
Long
benefit from privatizing the water systems, or is there not? Or is it more benefit to keep it government controlled?
Depends how you look at it. You know, sometimes when you privatize things, you see savings, cost savings, and sometimes when you privatize things, you give up a lot of control, and so you see maybe some short-term cost savings, but then things start to heat up a little bit. Anytime you privatize a public system, that's kind of like what happens. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. Nassau County over here privatized its bus system.
Yeah, I was going to
They're
ask
trying
about that.
save
So,
some money and-
a French company, I believe, came in and took over the entire busing
right.
system.
That's right.
And it's no longer union employees, and it's.
No, there's still some union employees.
Are they
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Gotcha.
as far as I know.
But the
Yeah.
buses seem to have looked better since then, and there seem to have been some improvement in that system.
Well, I
Is
think
that what happens with privatization?
I think so, because there's a lot of red tape that you don't have to go through anymore, and you can do a little bit more when you're dealing with a private system.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit, you know, there's different ways of setting this up, public-private partnerships. Sometimes the asset is sold, and it's
Okay.
really, run by the private entity, and sometimes the asset is owned by the public entity and then operated by the private entity, like it is with this bus system. And so it really depends on how you have it structured, you know. And
Okay.
if you don't, a lot of it is trying to save on like overhead costs. Like when the MTA was operating our system, we were paying this, like I think a lot of money in overhead and things like that to make up for this fantastic organization that they have, huge organization. And then we saw some economies of scale come down when we privatized the system and we brought in a private operator. You know?
Really, and the cost has decreased. Was it a significant price savings, or
in the beginning
a
it was
little bit? Really,
yeah,
really, it balanced out over time.
I don't know what it is now. You know, I've been out of the game for a while. I don't really know whether.
Well, what are the best government services that should be privatized on a general level?
I don't necessarily believe that any government services should be privatized.
Really?
I believe government services are, for the most part, if they're done correctly, very well run. The people that I know who work for the government, very hardworking people, know exactly what they're doing, know the government better than anybody else. But that's not to say that things can't be improved. Things could definitely be improved. But I think, you know, if it's done right, there's nothing like having a government-run government service, like, you know, water, sewer, traffic, stuff like that, where public safety and quality of life is paramount. You want, I think, to not have profit be the motivator.
Especially for government kind of public services.
That's right.
But it is for buses now, if you think about it, since that happened.
Not really, because the buses are still owned by the county.
Got it. The physical buses.
The physical buses. So the county has oversight over the whole system.
Okay.
But they have someone else who's operating it. So you know. And
so the management was ultimately taken over.
That's right.
But the workers,
The
and it didn't happen to. Did that happen to Cedar Creek, where ultimately they were union workers and the private people took it over and they hired all those people into their company?
Yep, a lot happened with the bus system too.
Gotcha.
They didn't get rid of everybody.
Yeah. And I think even the privatization of the jail healthcare, they kept their key employees and have new management to come in. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. So let's talk about this for a moment here. Zero energy building. I just wanted to pull up the Wikipedia. A zero energy building, also known as zero energy building, a zero net energy building, is a building with net zero energy consumption, meaning that the total amount of energy used by the building on an annual basis is equal to the amount of renewable energy created on the site. So is that even realistic in where we are today? I mean, what's the balance now? Is there anybody achieving net zero?
Yeah, of course there is. Yeah,
really.
This is something that's it's growing in popularity because developers and building owners are seeing that there is money to be made in it, and governments are offering incentives for it to happen.
Okay.
So it's becoming more and more attractive. I mean, anything you could do when you say to a developer or a building owner, you can reduce your costs. I mean, it's a no-brainer. They want to reduce their costs, and people are starting to take it seriously. Doing initial investments to save in the long run. So I think more and more people are coming online, and now there's LEED accredited buildings and green buildings.
What is a LEED accredited building? What does that mean?
It's just a building that meets certain clean energy standards. And is designed in a certain way to promote clean energy.
More compliance experts
exactly.
Making their own opinion there.
Yep, exactly. And Barclay Center's putting grass on their roof, and I mean,
Barclay says putting grass. Why, for golf games? Like, what's the purpose?
They have a grass roof.
A grass roof?
Yeah, grass.
Okay.
Yeah,
no. Why is there grass there?
Because it's a fantastic thing to have on your roof, I mean, it's
why is
like
grass
a green roof.
so
green.
awesome?
It's literally green.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Listen, I don't really understand this. I'm a little cynical. So let's just put it out there. I'm a little bit cynical that there's anything real to this, So so I want to get to net zero energy, but it seems that because of profit, governments have constantly gone the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing is that governments are not in it for profit, so that's like that's the good thing about it.
But that's the
there's
other
no
side of
government
it.
that makes money. You know?
Right, right. But then you also have people that may not be the most productive because of it. Where's the balance, you know? I guess the balance is the private-public partnership.
It's all about PPPs, public-private partnerships. That's right. All this stuff can only happen through public-private partnerships. Yeah.
I gotcha. Let me go on to this housing. Now, it seems that New York State, NYSERDA, is designing homes specifically with this in mind. Are you guys part of some of these projects?
We work a lot with NYSERDA, yeah.
Really? They're more professional in that arena?
Well, NYSERDA has a lot of groundbreaking programs, clean smart communities programs, and it's basically about working with municipalities and other entities to implement smart programs, clean programs, renewable energy programs, and it's a funding source, you know. And so if you create a plan and you meet certain criteria, then you can qualify for certain funding sources, and that might not be available to you to do additional programming and to really transform your municipality. So a lot of municipalities are coming on to Clean Smart Communities program.
So one of the concerns I have about solar and wind energy is you're putting more physical product out there. Doesn't that create more potential troubleshooting and problems you have to deal with?
Yeah, the more infrastructure you have, of course. Yeah.
But of course, it creates redundancy on some degree.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Listen, it's more of something and less of another thing.
Good point.
So it's kind of like a net zero effect.
A net zero
It's
effect.
a net zero effect. Yeah.
Gotcha. You could use that in different kind of ways. I see that. Take a look at this. So United Way, I was reading, is also doing something about this, and very interesting. They have a challenge.
I love good challenge.
I love a good challenge, especially from these folks, right? So join United Way's partnership for the Net Zero Energy Challenge, where they're saying they're giving out millions of dollars for people who, groups who are going to be involved in this. What do you think about United Way's Net Zero Energy Project timeline and funding these kind of concepts?
I think it's fantastic, and United Way is not the only one who's doing these challenges. There's clean energy programs that a lot of energy providers are doing, National Grid, and all these energy providers and organizations are trying to get on this bandwagon to get the word out. And it's a growing thing, you know. It
Makes me think I'm on a net zero diet, so I don't eat much during the day, and then
you won't gain any weight.
Fill up Notella at night, and then I'm just kind of stay even. You know.
That's right. I mean? You won't gain, but you won't lose.
Yes. So can I get some money from these guys?
You already met the challenge.
I've already met the challenge. So this is really, they provide this, a tax returns, or they give them one of those big checks? Big checks. Hey,
I think it's a program. I don't know how each program works. I guess each program has its own different thing. But you know, we did a NYSERDA program. My personal home that I live in right now, we did a NYSERDA program through another provider where they basically they give you a loan to pay for energy upgrades to your home, new windows, insulation, whatever it is that they come to your home, they do an assessment, they say, okay, you need this, you should do this, you do this. They calculate how much you're going to save in energy per month, and they give you a grant, and then you pay the grant back with the energy that you're saving every month.
Oh, okay.
You know? And so basically, if you cut your energy bill down by $100, you know, you pay them $100 a month, and until you paid your loan off, and then you're free to go, and you got new windows.
Really? And who does this?
Yeah, I think it was a NYSERDA program. I don't
Wow,
remember.
that's
I did
pretty
it,
cool.
A bunch of years ago.
How do we find out about it? I guess look up on Google, net zero programs, right?
Yeah.
In your neighborhood.
Net zero energy saving programs. Yeah.
I have a little bit of an outside question here. Being familiar with local government, here in this region we have counties. In mid-America, you have parishes based on the French form of government. Is one better than the other in net zero accomplishments?
I'm not sure because I don't know much about parishes or how they operate. I've lived in a county system my whole life. The only time I've experienced parishes when I've gone down to New Orleans many times. Played a lot of shows in New Orleans over the years.
Awesome.
It's a great place to play.
Nice.
Shows, but I never had any experiences with any of the governments down there. Thankfully, I never got incarcerated or anything.
Nice. So you didn't have to deal with anybody. Here's Bloomberg's article on net zero. Very interesting. Entire buildings and full structures that are going to save the world. It's time for a net zero building boom.
That's right. I agree with that. I think it is time.
But hold on a second. I mean, foreign countries are saying they're not doing it for years. Doesn't it create this weird unbalance? Like it's cloudy here, but not over there.
No, let's fix our own backyard first and worry about other people afterwards. But I think if the developers want to do it, the developers will do it. You know, this is not a government thing. I don't think, in as much as it's being made out to be a government thing in the media or wherever. You know, you make it enticing for a developer.
So you believe the media is using it as a political play? This is already being used as a political play?
I think I don't know if it's a political play, but it's definitely a potential mischaracterization. You know, I mean,
So China not participating does not affect us not jumping in right away.
No, I don't think so. And if you look it up, you probably find some exciting things happening on the low emissions and smart building stuff in China also.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm sure it's being done everywhere. As long as there's money to be made or saved, it's happening everywhere.
So the fact that we're hearing this on the news is just a bunch of political fodder. It's not real.
I don't think it's political fodder. I just don't think maybe they just don't know it, you know, and it's not making it into the news. What I think you know, what you're seeing are reports about government sponsored programs.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And so some governments don't want to sponsor programs and don't want to join the NATO or whatever it is, or the coalition or the Paris Accords or whatever it is that they don't want to join because they don't want to join it. They don't want to have to put in the investment. But that doesn't mean that individual developers and individual projects within these countries are not taking advantage of new technologies and
So it's
clean
perceivable to think that you can have the best renewable energy being invented in China as we speak.
It's possible. Yeah,
Interesting.
It's
Interesting. Okay. Wow, excellent. So, did you have fun? What'd you think chatting about this stuff?
I
don't think
chatting.
a lot of people understand what's happening with energy, and most people are just listening to the news and have this outside rough idea of what's going on. So, we worked together at the county, and there were these smart cities initiatives, which was, I guess, the beginning of net zero. They were very interesting initiatives where you put in different lights instead of the regular lights, and all these little micro projects that eventually led up to something bigger, right?
Smart cities is a really interesting concept. And
It's been out for many years. Smart
been out for
cities,
many
government
years. Yeah.
concept.
But the real true smart city is one that understands what is going on a very micro level and can adjust itself in real time to changing conditions. And that requires a lot of data, a lot of processing, and a lot of infrastructure and technology.
So you're saying if there's like a big show in town and it could adjust traffic patterns and how people move almost organically or through
right.
AI.
That's right.
Wow, man.
That's right.
I'm done sitting in traffic. Let me just tell you, I'm so done.
Can you imagine if you're in New York City, right, and traffic is really bad on Cross Street that you're on right then and there, and a sign pops up all of a sudden that says, go to the next block over. Now, the next block over, just 3 minutes ago, was going in the opposite direction. But all of a sudden, there was a need for it to go in the same direction you're going.
Oh, man, and they can make traffic
And
pattern changes.
It
Jeez.
changes itself
Wow.
to adapt to the condition that is going on.
Wow. Okay, I can't imagine that happening automatically.
That's a smart city.
Without having operators making that change over
That's
time.
right.
Over time.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. Or a city. Imagine this: you're in a massive building in the city, and 5 o'clock rolls around, and all of a sudden people start leaving their job, and they start flooding onto the sidewalk, and the sidewalk becomes congested.
Yes.
A smart city recognizes that the sidewalk is congested, closes off the adjacent lane of traffic, and expands the sidewalk area usable by pedestrians to include that area. And all of a sudden, you've expanded the the usable area.
Who's
of the
doing
city.
this? What city is engaging in these
There's
ideas?
no city that's doing it yet because we're just not there. But
Mm-hmm.
that is the true essence of smart city. That's a smart city.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a smart city knows in each building how much energy it needs and only supplies that amount of energy to that building. And within each building, it knows where the air conditioning needs to be on, where the lights need to be on, and is
You're
smart
talking
enough
about a
to-
massive IoT infrastructure.
That's correct. But that's the true essence of smart city.
And that's what they're trying to do in UK, and it's the number one warning. Watch out for these IoT devices. Wow, that's pretty scary. Some of the attacks that are being measured are millions of IT devices hitting a particular location. A lot more securities to go into this. And what concerns me about IoT devices, let's say the new generation is really secured stuff. Do you know how much stuff is out there that has to be replaced? And that's the thing that we deal with security. Every client we walk into has some old straggler machine, updated, you can't update it. It's always, those are your vulnerabilities. Those are always your vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about net zero and smart cities? Is it something that you're a full advocate of, I assume, for your
I
company?
love the idea of smart cities. A lot of the sticking point with smart cities is that they need a lot of data, and so the data has to come from you, and a lot of people don't want to be tracked and don't want, to.
Well,
be,
your data used for studies has to be separated from your PII, separated from your public data.
Yeah, right. But it's scary. It's a little bit scary. It's
But hospitals are doing that, so they could take my medical problems and use it for a study and separate it from my personal identifiable information. Wouldn't the
true.
same idea be going on here?
Yeah, potentially. It's just not. It's not there yet. We don't have the capability of understanding people and measuring people and doing what we need to do in order to make this happen and translate it into an action. We don't have it yet.
It just sounds that post-COVID society has gotten a little more difficult and easier. It seems more of a stretch than something real,
COVID is a perfect opportunity to make substantial change, game-changing things. I mean, it's
Did enough change take place during COVID?
enough change. I think some really important changes took place in COVID that are going to change cities for sure.
Like?
Working from home, the ability to do remote work, the advances that we made, and the mindset that switched on through that I think was possible beforehand, but didn't really take hold until COVID, is a really big game changer for our cities. You saw it during. I see it in my office every day in New York City. Not as many people are in the office as there were before. So what does that actually mean to our urban form and to the buildings and to how people work, live, play? It's really an interesting dynamic that's going on right now.
Well, they thought everyone's going to come back to the same capacity, and
But everybody
hasn't.
doesn't have to. That's the thing. Why make everybody come back to doing business the old way when you don't have to? We're getting business done the new way.
So how is it going to change the landscape of Manhattan?
Well, we have a tremendous amount of underutilized office space now in Manhattan, and companies are saying, okay, we're mandating people to come back, and that's fine. Some companies are saying we're not mandating people to come back, and so it could lead to a wholesale repurposing of office space that's totally underutilized into something that's more needed at this time, or more necessary. I don't know what that is right now, and the shift has to sort of play itself out, but the planners have to use their imagination. What once planners were able to extrapolate based on past trends, they can't do anymore. And so there has to be like a scenario planning exercise, okay, where you look at multiple different paths to the future, okay, because there's not one path to the future anymore. You can't say, because this happened 10 years ago, I know that it's going up on a straight line now, and so I can predict where we're going to be 10 years from now. It just doesn't work that way anymore. And so what you need multiple paths. You have to say to yourself, okay, if this happens, if this variable goes this way, we're going to go this way. If this happens this way, we're going to go this way. What do we need to do to plan right now so that if we end up here, we're good. If we end up here, we're good. And so that's scenario planning.
So, and solar and wind power are the leaders in this conversation.
I think so. I'm sure there's other technologies out there that I'm not.
Now, I also heard the wind, a problem used to be when the windmill blades had to be stored, they were toxic or something, and that problem was fixed in the last 10 years, and the blades are much different. There was a whole thing about storing these blades that had been improved over time.
I wish you had told me that 10 years ago when I started storing wind blades in my backyard.
That's funny. Yeah, listen, make a couple bucks on everything.
Like, hey, you want to store these blades in your backyard? I was like, yeah.
Come on in, I'll store them here. Wow, I gotta tell you, man, you're amazing. You're a business guy. You're a musician. What are you teaching your kids? What are your kids getting from your existence and what you've accomplished in life?
Well, they definitely see me working hard. I definitely think that they're responding to hard work, being dedicated to something.
Okay. Love and passion.
That's right. Love and passion, doing what you like, making time to do what you want to do, for sure. But I'm also involved with a lot of different charitable causes and organizations and things like that. And thank God, my kids are carrying that on. My daughter is involved with food deliveries and things like that. And I think that's really important. Giving back is like super important to me. And so I think the kids are getting a lot out of that. And my wife is like an amazing giver also, and she's always there for people and always thinking of other people. And so my kids definitely are carrying that on, which is fantastic. So they see me working hard. They know the value to hard work. They know the value to hard play and playing fast.
Yes, hard and fast play.
And they know the value of giving back and putting others before yourself also. So,
but what do you say to the audience that has a young man or woman in their family who understands, cares about this? How does somebody become a planner? Where do you start?
First of all, don't become a planner.
No. Why? There's so many project managers.
I'm joking. Now's a great time to become a planner. Listen, the great thing about planning is that there's a creative side to it. So if you want to think of problems and solve problems and try to help direct the future, that's what planners find most exciting. So that
you can do something and be part of laying out that future. Oh,
that's right.
Sick.
That's right. And
do you have to also be a rock drummer, or that's not important?
It helps. No, of course not.
A little music helps. I think learning how to think abstracter music is very vital to developing and coming up with ideas.
I agree. I'm really thankful I play an instrument because when I started with the county and I started like doing I had to just be public meetings and stuff like that. And I'd go out in front of like 50 people and I'd be like, oh, it's no big deal because I just like drummed with my shirt off at 50,000 miles an hour in front of like 700 people. So
it doesn't matter.
No big deal, So like people are like, are you nervous? I'm like, nervous? What are you talking about? I just like was sweating.
Those look like a crazy shows, man. Those look really crazy shows.
We played some awesome shows.
That's really. I just want to respond real quick to John Brockpower. Some info on the utility I work in for Northern California. Now he worked in OEM with us at the county and moved to California many years ago, and still in the game. Someone who cared quite a bit about emergency management. Was part of some big projects we were part of here, and proud to still know somebody like that. It never goes away, right? It's always in you. When you give a shit, it's always there.
That's right. I always say, like, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I probably would still, like, yell at people about planning all the time.
Yeah, if I won the lottery today, I'd still be like, no, don't click on that. Don't you know, Yeah, no, it goes beyond the money. Thank you very much for joining us. Aryeh, you did an amazing individual. I think that it's really interesting to see how they're going to develop net zero. And people should read up about it and get to know a little bit more about it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's things that you can do in your own life to effectuate change, and we should all take part in it.
How do you recognize if you're a parent that your kid could be a future planner? How do you know? What do you see? Like, oh, he really has a lot of vision?
No, for instance, if you're driving down the road, and your kid is like, what the hell? Why is this like this? Why is this building here? It doesn't make any sense. Why is this roadway so curved?
Oh my God, my friend's kid used to always complain about the garbage trucks and their routes.
Yeah.
He's a perfect planner.
That's it.
Oh,
That's
my
it.
God. He could change the future. That's awesome.
That's right.
Nicholas, I'm calling you. We're going to talk about this. Guys, have a great evening. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday.